Hi everyone, it's Brittany, and today I want to talk to you guys about circumstances and why circumstances don't matter. I know you hear this all the time, and it can become one of those terms in this community where you hear it so often that you're just like, yeah, okay, but here's all the reasons why my circumstances actually do matter. And I totally understand that. And I want you guys to know that me personally, when I'm telling you your circumstances don't matter, I am not saying that your feelings are invalid. I am not saying that what you are experiencing, you just need to get over it. Like, I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying to you guys is that in terms of the actual circumstances themselves, they have zero effect on your manifestation. They have zero effect on really anything because, first of all, they aren't actual separate events happening outside of you. They aren't their own experience that are happening separately from you, right? They aren't truly objectively happening or taking place on their own. So they have no effect, and actually they have no meaning on their own. They have no meaning whatsoever. Everything in your experience is absolutely meaningless and empty until you, the awareness behind all of this, gives it meaning, gives it life by giving it meaning. So again, circumstances don't matter because they don't affect whatever it is that you want to experience, and they have no inherent meaning on their own, okay? So I want to share a story with you guys, a personal experience that I had, and I think it will help you tremendously because I have so many people in my comments and even in sessions asking me like, okay, cool to hear that circumstances don't matter. That's great. That's a relief. But how do I deal with what's going on in my life right now? How do I deal with what's in my face all the time? I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to do this wrong. Well, firstly, you can't mess it up. So if you have a reaction to something, if you need to cry for a day or a few days or a week, like whatever it is, guys, you are absolutely valid in that, and you are absolutely free to do that. There's nothing wrong with feeling what you need to feel. There's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself in situations. There's nothing wrong for putting up boundaries. There's nothing wrong with any of that. So I want you to understand that whatever you're dealing with in your life right now, please don't feel like you're stuck or you can't do what you want to do. You can't say what you want to say. You can't feel how you want to feel, because if you do, you're messing something up. I want you guys to come away with at least that from this video. You're not going to do anything wrong by reacting, by feeling, by having thoughts about the situation at all. But in that experience, I want you guys to always, always, always come back to the truth of who you are. And that recognition, that awareness of being will be the thing that allows you to experience these things and also get through them and stand in the truth of who you are, so that these things will not continue to perpetuate. Okay? So we're gonna get more into that, but I want to share with you guys a personal experience of mine. And I keep saying in these videos, like, I know you guys have heard me talk about this before. And for the people that are confused about this, yes, I was previously with another channel. So when I'm talking about that, that's what I'm referring to. I am no longer associated with that channel, and I'm not going to talk about that, okay? I'm not going to talk about the channel whatsoever. So moving on, what I want to tell you guys is that about a year and a half ago, while I was coaching and while I was, posting content on YouTube, I went through a very traumatizing experience. So I am married, for those of you who don't know that about me. I'm married to the most amazing, amazing man, and I adore him and our relationship. And we had a baby in 2021 the summer of 2021. And it's crazy to even say that she is 3 now. It's just wild. But while she was still a baby, my husband got sick. And I want to back up for a second. So my husband, ever since I had met him, had stomach issues, and he would just go through these periods of time where he would eat something that would upset his stomach, and then he would have like a really bad reaction to it where it was almost like he had the flu. Like he would have not only stomach issues but like full body aches, really couldn't move like out of bed, and was just like absolutely incapacitated pretty much for several days, almost up until like a week sometimes. And this was like normal for him. And I asked him so many questions about it. And he really just didn't have many answers. He said he had been to doctors, and basically this was just something that they had told him. You're just going to have to be very mindful with what you eat, and accept the fact that you will have like flare-ups when you eat certain foods. And he never got any sort of testing to find out what kind of foods it was. And it doesn't really matter. The whole point is he really didn't know what was causing this issue for him. But it was something that would happen like every 2 to 3 months or so. So he just wasn't really, I guess, that upset about it to the point where he was going to go seeking like treatment from a specialist or anything. He was like, well, my primary care told me that it's just something I'm gonna have to live with, and so that's it. And so he just accepted that. And I was like, I'm not accepting that. Like, I don't like that at all. So what I ended up doing one time was, he was sick again, and I was just getting so tired of not only like seeing him suffer, I hated that, but also feeling like I had to then take care of everything. I had to take care of the children, I had to take care of the dog, I had to take care of the house, and basically like keep everything running, and then also work. So, it was just a lot on me too. So one day I was just like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this anymore. I am not going to see him as this sick person. Just not going to do it. So I was very new to making a decision for myself in terms of the law and reality creation. And so I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to test it out. I am going to decide right here and right now that somehow, some way, he's going to be his absolute healthiest self. And I am going to be married to a man who is just healthy all around, physically, mentally, emotionally, just healthy in all areas of his life. And that is what I'm choosing now. And so I did. And I felt really good about that. It felt really good to just choose something like that. So, went back to normal life. Really, honestly, didn't think about it that much because he was fine. He was healthy at that time. So then a few weeks passed by, and he had a flare up again, and he got sick again. And so I really didn't even think much of it then either, because it was just something normal that I was used to. And then while I was like helping him, I had this little thought come up of, oh wait, you decided that this wasn't going to happen anymore. So of course my human self is like, why is this happening? What did you do wrong? I knew this whole decision thing wouldn't work. And all of those doubts were coming in. And I just kind of said, no, I am still deciding that somehow this is all going to work itself out. So I know that this must be leading us to him being healthy. And what happened in this situation was very different from anything that I had ever experienced previously. So what ended up happening was he did not seem to be getting better. And in fact, as the days were moving on, where normally he would slowly be feeling better and better and better, he was slowly feeling worse and worse and worse. And I started to get really concerned. And I'm going to do my best not to give so many details because I think it's quite graphic, and I'm not going to do that here. So he was getting really, really bad, and he got to the point where he couldn't stand up on his own, couldn't stand up, couldn't go to the bathroom by himself. In fact, he wasn't really even going to the bathroom. So I was super concerned. And my husband is, he has a family of doctors. So everyone in his family is a doctor. So I called someone in his family and explained the situation. And he was like, this doesn't sound good. This really doesn't sound good at all. I don't like what I'm hearing. I'm going to come over and just kind of look at him and see what's going on. So he came over, and after being there for a little while, he came to me and said, you need to get him to go to the emergency room. Like, this is not just going to get better on its own. It's getting worse. And he is so weak. He can barely even pick up his head. And he needs to be able to, at the very least, get an IV in so he can start to be feeling better, you know? So I was like, okay. And he left. My husband and I talked, and for whatever reason, my husband was still saying, no, I'm not going to the emergency room. It's going to be okay. So I respected that, but in my mind, I was just like, what is it going to take? What is it going to take for him to agree to do this? And, you know, the decision of what I had decided, that he was going to be healthy in the end of all of this, it was there. It was in the back of my mind, but that was not my main focus. My main focus was trying to deal with the situation. So, long story short, he eventually said, it's time. It's time for me to go. I know I don't want to go. I really don't want to go. I don't want to sit there. I don't want to feel uncomfortable, but it's time for me to go. I can tell. So got his mom to come pick him up and take him to the emergency room. Remember, like, I had a baby at the time, so really couldn't be leaving late at night and taking the baby with us. So in any case, I was getting updates constantly, and the updates were not good. And like I said, his family is all doctors. So his mom's a doctor, his dad's a doctor. So his mom and dad were there, and I was feeling good about that. You know, he's in good hands, and he's at the hospital with doctors who can run tests and see what's going on. But the tests they were running were not coming back with anything, and all that they could find was that he was not doing well, and he wasn't actually responding to the medications that they were giving him. He had an infection, and then he ended up getting sepsis, and then things were just getting worse and worse and worse. Like I said, every time I would get an update, it was worse. And I'm gonna be so straightforward with you guys. That whole decision thing, thinking this was all gonna get better, out the window. Completely out the window. I was not thinking about that. I was just so worried. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I literally just couldn't do anything. I had taken off of work because there was no way I could continue to speak to people. But, you know, I still had children that I had to take care of, and I had to get them to and from school. And luckily, they ended up being on a break during all of that. But it was just always in my face, constantly. And then once I would receive information, I had to relay that information to friends and family that were really, really concerned. And all the while, I really just wanted to be at the hospital with my husband, and I couldn't even do that. And of course, this was also during COVID, so the restrictions were different, and they weren't like just allowing anyone to come. So it was just a very difficult situation. And I really wasn't even getting to talk to my husband because he was on so many like pain medications, and just in and out of like sleep, and really even being able to speak to me was very, very short lived when we could. So as you guys can imagine, like, this is a situation where you are so in your thoughts and your feelings and the actual circumstances that you're trying to deal with. And so I just felt so defeated, and I felt so upset, and I felt like I did something, like I let my husband down, and that was the worst. That was the worst feeling. Like, I somehow have messed this up and now I'm causing him to suffer. Like, that was all I could think. And it was so difficult, guys. Like, it was so hard for me. So with all that being said, I want to make it so clear to you guys that clearly I was not paying attention to what kind of thoughts I was having. I was not doing well with regulating my emotions. During the day, I did a pretty decent job because I was just so overwhelmed with like trying to be in the right place at the right time, trying to do everything that I needed to do. So I was kind of numb while that was going on. But then at night, once I got the baby to bed and the kids were asleep and it was just me, I would just cry and cry and cry. And I would even pray sometimes like, God, I knew that God existed within me, but I was still so desperate that I was saying, God, please, just, I need something. I need help. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, if you could just help me this one time, please. I promise, like, I'll do anything. I'll do anything. And so, as I said, I wasn't sleeping well. So when I was able to fall asleep, I was having these like lucid dreams, and they were so vivid and so intense, and it was just something that I actually had never experienced before. So that was really, really crazy. But this is the thing that changed everything for me, guys. And I had this dream, if you want to call it that, where I was communicating with a figure. It was like a figure, a dark figure with like light outside of it. So like outlined in like this white light. And when I say I was communicating, I was not speaking. This figure was not speaking. There was no words going on, but I just knew what it was trying to relay to me, if that makes sense. And what I ended up realizing is that this figure was my higher self, which is me, my true self, my I am. And in this dream, it was telling me that, like, again, with no words, but I just knew this stuff after the dream. And that was that, number one, first and foremost, you are all one. We are all one. So the source behind me is the same source behind everyone. It's the same source that is one with God, that is one with this infinite intelligence, this I am. And because of that, your prayers, your declarations, they never go unanswered. Now, that was sort of confusing for me at the time, but then once I woke up, I really understood what that meant. And what they were trying to get across to me is that you have already made your choice. You've already decided what you want to experience. And you can't do anything wrong from here on out. You can't do anything wrong. The only thing that you can do is believe in these circumstances, believe that you have done something wrong. And now, because that's what you're choosing to buy into, you will have that experience. But even that isn't wrong. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is ever wrong. You don't ever need to feel guilt about things. You don't need to feel shame about things. You can't get it wrong, no matter what your human self wants to judge as good or bad. Truthfully, it's never wrong, good, bad, nothing. It's all your personal experience. And so when I kind of communicated back, like, I just need to know what to do in this situation. Like, how do I ensure that he's going to be okay at the end of all of this? And the figure basically communicated to me that if I could just see everything as perfect, if I could see everything as perfect, no matter, again, what my human self wants to label these things as, if I can choose to go beyond that and see that it is all working out the way that I need it to, all of this stuff that I'm experiencing is perfect for me and my situation, and then it will lead me to exactly what kind of experience I want to have, then I will be led to that experience, however it happens. And so I woke up feeling peace in that moment. And it doesn't mean that I still wasn't scared for what was going on in my life, but I felt an immense peace deep within me that I just knew that it was safe for me to say, I'm choosing to see all of this as exactly what needs to happen so that I can experience that healthy, happy, vibrant version of my husband. And I'm trusting that I can't do anything wrong. I'm trusting that these thoughts that I have, these feelings that I have, this constant going into the 3D experience and repeating this stuff over and over and over again, that somehow, some way, it's not going to have any effect on me, because I know deep down, beyond all of these circumstances, like, that this is perfect. And that's kind of what I said. I said something along the lines of, I don't know how, I don't know why this is happening, and I have no clue how or when this is all going to resolve itself, but I know who I am. I know who I am. And it's safe for me to trust in my decision. And I just let it go. I let it go. I let go of that guilt. I let go of that fear, of that shame. And I just trusted in my I am. And believe me, it was scary, but I was allowing myself to set aside that fear, if that makes sense. So I want to get to this ending as quickly as I can. Basically, he still continued to get worse. And what ended up happening was, because his family are doctors, his dad knew a surgeon that specialized in this particular type of issue. Now, remember, they didn't know exactly what was going on, but it was very obvious that it was an issue in his stomach. So there was a specialist, a GI specialist, that my father-in-law knew. And so reached out to him. The guy was like, yes, I'll come to that hospital. I actually am affiliated with that hospital, so I can go there and perform surgeries. And I am going to plan on being there first thing in the morning to perform the surgery. And he's like, when we get in there, we'll see what needs to be done. So now here's where things get so crazy. So I was prepared for my husband to be having surgery the following morning, first thing in the morning. And I was still keeping in touch with his family, and they were just kind of telling me like, yeah, I mean, he's really not doing well. After the fact, this didn't happen during the whole experience, but after the fact, I had found out that a priest had come into my husband's room to basically, and guys, I'm not very familiar with Catholicism or anything. So it was a Catholic priest, my husband's Catholic, and he basically read him like his final prayer, that basically they were preparing for him to not survive. And, you know, like I said, I kind of could gather that while he was in the hospital. It very much sounded that way, but people weren't really telling me that because they didn't want to upset me, I guess. I don't know. But I found that out after, and I was like, wow, that's insane. So in any case, the surgery was going to be performed in the morning. Then, late at night, around 11 o'clock, I get a phone call, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Answer it. It's my husband's mother, and she is telling me that, hey, the surgeon is actually doing the surgery right now. They're prepping the room, and he's going in, so he's getting the surgery done. And I was like, okay, well, why did they change it? And she said, he really didn't explain it to us. He just said that he needs to get in there and do it now. So what the surgeon ended up telling us is that he had an intense feeling, even though he hadn't seen my husband. He didn't really understand the whole situation of what was going on. He just, after he had agreed to do the surgery in the morning, had this intense feeling telling him that he needed to do it tonight. He needed to do it. And so he said, I always listen to my intuition and my little inner voice, and I listened. And so I knew I had to do the surgery tonight. And so, as easy as I can say this, when he got in to perform the surgery, he said he was absolutely shocked at what he found. And basically, my husband was so incredibly sick that if the surgeon wasn't there that night to do the surgery and he waited until the morning, he said, in his experience, in his professional opinion of being a surgeon for 30 years, there's no way my husband would have made it to that surgery in the morning. And I don't even want to sit on that for too long, because it's just so scary to me. But the point is, guys, that had to happen the way that it happened. All of these things that came together the way that they did and the timing that they needed to were perfect in this situation. And my husband made not only a full recovery, so much faster than they thought he would, but also he's healthier than he has ever been. He's happier than he's ever been. He is exactly what I had decided for him at the beginning of all of this. And do you guys really think that while all of these problems were popping up, I was seeing it clearly as, oh yeah, this is great. This is great. This is exactly what needs to happen? No, absolutely not. Of course, I wasn't seeing it that way. I'm a human being, right? Like I have this human mind and human body that I experience life through, just like you guys. So no, I wasn't seeing it that way. But after I had that dream, I chose to see it that way. And if any of you guys had watched my previous videos, I think a lot of you can see that once I shared that story, that was when I changed so much. I changed the way that I was teaching. I changed my ideas about the law. And that was when I really, truly started to know myself as I am. And it's been so beautiful and amazing. And I'm so grateful for all of those experiences. And I've talked to my husband about this, and he sees it the same way as I do. He sees it as, honestly, I was not somebody that was really very grateful for everyday life. You know, he was like, of course, I love you. I love the kids, and that's all good. But it was very easy for me to get down on things and to look at myself as like, man, I don't have everything that I want. Life's kind of crappy. Like, you know, normal things that most people go through. And he was like, ever since I had that experience, and I realized that all of this maybe crappiness could be taken away from me, like, I appreciate everything now. I appreciate everything. I appreciate the worst of the worst days that I have, simply because I know that all of this could be gone. And I am so grateful that I get to be here experiencing life with you and with our family. No matter what it is, I know that it will always work itself out. And so it's changed my husband's perspective on life as well. And it's just really been a blessing in disguise is all I can say. So thank you guys for allowing me to share my story and for listening. If you're still here with me, I've been talking a while, but I really wanted to share this in the way that I did, because I think it's very easy to, you know, say, hey, don't worry about your circumstances. Everything's going to be fine. But it feels very lonely and isolating when you hear people saying that in videos and you're like, you don't understand. You don't understand what I'm going through, what I'm dealing with. And guys, I get it. I completely get it. So I never want anyone to feel here that your feelings are invalid. They're not. But the point that I'm making when I say circumstances don't matter is that you don't have to worry that this thing, this situation, this circumstance, this thought, this feeling is going to hurt you in any way, is going to affect your manifestation, is going to affect your life in any way, as long as you choose to see the bigger truth behind it, which is all of these experiences are just a part of who you are. You are all things, which means you are all possibilities, all realities, all experiences. And even that, even the vastness of everything you experience isn't enough to define you and who you truly are. They are all just experiences. They're not you. They aren't reality. Remember, nothing is objectively happening there. Yes, the experiences are very, very real and they're valid. So don't ever feel that they're not. But you get to feel that experience. You get to have that experience, and then you get to come away from that experience still choosing to know that you are everything. And if you choose to look at this thing as perfect, as leading you to what you want, as a part of what needs to happen for you to have the experience, however you want to look at it, guys, it truly doesn't matter. But if you use that perspective, then you will have an experience that proves that perspective back to you. So yeah, guys, I hope that this video was helpful for some of you. I know that it will be. I am going to be doing a video all on perspective because I think it is so important to understand why it's so important and how you guys get to use it to your advantage. So yeah, I'm going to be filming that soon, but I really just wanted to come on here and be open with you guys and share some of my personal experiences, because I do truly believe that that helps, you know? It's like, okay, cool. Somebody that seems to have such an easy, simple life is telling me that circumstances don't matter. But no, I want you guys to truly understand that it has not been easy for me to get to where I am. And the irony is, it could have been so easy, could have been so simple, but I continued on believing that I was just this limited human for so many years that I made it a lot more difficult than I needed to. So that's why I'm here sharing with you guys, okay? So yeah, thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I am so amazed by all of you, like just your beautiful comments, your amazing support. You guys are just amazing. So thank you so much for being here with me. And I am looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your week.